Oh, you okay, boss? No worries. All right, guys, first race of the season. It was so close to almost not happening. Thankfully, things ended up working out and I'm here making a video about it. Reason it wasn't gonna happen was super worried about where my exams were gonna fall. Was almost gonna miss 2 races during the season just due to the due dates where certain exams fell. Thankfully, they were all take-home exams, so I ended up crushing 3.5 weeks worth of exams in a week. Was staying up late, hardly got any sleep that week. Crazy things were happening. Drunk strangers were breaking into my house, sleeping on the couch. Hello? You alright, man? You okay? Who are you, man? You okay?
Bro.
I don't mean to startle you.
Who are you?
You're kind of in my apartment.
Really?
Yeah, man.
What happened?
It was wild, but got it done, and I was so glad to be a part of that and get to race in the Paris to Ancaster 75 kilometer to kick off the cycling season. Had to do number pickup in Cambridge to get my race plate for the upcoming race. Was looking to get a wave change. Hi.
Tell your number.
2350.
Okay, I'm wearing socks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. And then question, there was something mentioned on the website about wave upgrades or changes. Would that be done here or?
Okay, got it.
Ended up talking to the people, no luck whatsoever. Reason I was looking to get a wave change, one, the 4th wave was likely not to be as competitive as I would have liked. I was just looking to see how far along my training's come. Made a video on that. It hasn't come very far. I've been training wrong. The second reason, I knew with the 4th wave we were likely to catch other waves such as wave 2 and wave 3, and that was going to cause bottlenecks in the race. But right off the bat here in this first clip, was just looking to space myself out, kind of get ahead in the pack as much as I could, just because I knew those bottlenecks were coming. So push the pace really hard here. And that kind of bit me in the butt in that early quarter of the race. Ended up getting blown by those guys that kind of took it easy in the first half. Once again, never raced before, so learned a lot from this, kind of paced myself. And one thing I noticed too, early in the race, a big thing that would have helped me out here was just grabbing someone's wheel and kind of sticking with them. That was one thing that I really didn't do. So ended up catching the wheel of some guys after that final turn from the straightaway of the race. Rode with them for a bit. Thought, hey, I still got more in the tank. Let me go catch the next group. So I ride out on my own, and by the time I end up catching the other pack, the 2 guys that I was riding with end up catching that pack as well. So I could have saved myself the time and the energy riding in with them to catch that next group, but not knowing any tactics, not what I did. So I end up sticking around with these guys until the next portion of the race. Pay attention to the guy with the red Cannondale bike and the white helmet on the left, and then the guy with the Ironman shorts. They are gonna be a massive part of the finish that I had. Came in clutch at the end of the race for me. But here was just a nice portion on some private property, barn. It was beautiful out this day. Had no complaints with the weather. For the race, P2A Paris to Ancaster, 100% a gravel race, but I don't have a gravel bike. I got a road and a mountain bike, so had to decide which one of the 2 I was gonna do. So ended up rocking the mountain bike. This part of the race here, and it's like any parts of the race that were a little bit technical or like a single track or like heavy gravel, it allowed me to grab a lot of time on it just because I had those wider tires. I was able to push the pace a little harder, a little more comfortable getting the power down there. So these portions of the race pushed myself really hard because I knew it was time I had to make up versus when we were out riding on the road. So this guy here with the Di2 shifting, it had my ears ringing. I saw he was going at a good pace, so I was like, hey, why not follow him for a bit? So I ended up pushing the pace, overtaking some places there, and then we ended up following this guy right into the bottleneck portion of the race. It was super muddy, super deep. It was nasty. People were walking their bikes. People were walking their bikes with their bikes on their shoulder. I was walking my bike through the mud. We'll get into that later in the video. Ended up taking a quick spill here, and then please just listen to this. You can see how deep this puddle of mud is.
Holy smokes.
After that bottleneck, we head out to a portion of the single track. I'm well rested. On top of that, the single track portion definitely was great for the mountain bike that I ended up deciding to race for the Paris to Ancaster race. Although the gravel bikes, like I said earlier, were eating me alive on the flats and the road portions of the race, this part here you can see had a bunch of overtakes, and that was just because the mountain bike was eating up those little bumps and just plowing through it. So gotta give credit where credit's due, and took full advantage of those portions of the race. I knew I had to make up time somehow, so really gave it my all on these parts, and yeah, it allowed for some great positioning for myself. Getting out of the single track, end up grabbing this guy's wheel. We ride for a bit on the gravel. He ends up dropping me. However, at the end of the race, I do end up passing him, so that felt good. He was kind of down that I got dropped by this guy, but passed him before the finish, so felt nice. And then in the next clips, we're gonna see some familiar faces.
Hop in, bud. Pass again. Thank you. I needed a little something.
Here we have the two guys, Red Cannondale and the Iron Man guy. These guys saved my butt. It was a portion of the race where I was feeling pretty tired. I couldn't find anyone. I was kind of on my own. I couldn't grab a wheel to catch the next group. These guys come out of nowhere. I grab their wheel and we absolutely start chugging along. This was the portion of the race where I realized something super important and why everyone carries their bikes through the muddy sections. I thought I was a genius walking it through, you know, saving energy, not picking it up, tossing it over my shoulder. So we get out of this muddy section and my back wheel's not spinning, and it all made sense to me why everyone had their bikes lugged over their shoulders. So I'm here trying to get that mud out as quick as possible so I can continue my race. And here we have the highlight of the race. So some volunteers were giving out jubes. I tried to get as many as I could. There were 4 volunteers giving them out. Went for the quad, got the quad, end up bombing the following downhill. 4 jubes in my mouth, nearly suffocating. And then another super muddy portion of the race. I had the handle in to go down. Was planning on riding the mud chute all the way down with my bike. Ended up getting cut off by someone who wiped out. Wasn't too bummed. Learned I need to take the bike over my shoulders with this one so I could actually continue the race afterwards. End up getting to some portion of trail, kind of single tracky downhill. So mountain bikes allowing me to plow through, end up taking some positions, but a piece of mud flies onto the GoPro, and that kind of made the footage left out for the rest of the race unusable, unfortunately. And then in the final portion of the race leading up to the finish line was this climb from hell. There were a lot of climbs before this climb, and everyone on the trail, all the first timers at least, were asking if this was the climb, because it was definitely talked about before the race at the start line. And yeah, this one was massive. Ended up pushing through, getting it done. Was not without help from all the bystanders and the fans watching, as you'll see in this video.
Almost done, almost done.
250, that's it, man. Pain is fun, pain is fun. That's it, you got to go, let's go. Oh, good job, you got the rhythm, you got the rhythm. Come on, keep going, keep going.
Man, this guy here was massive. I think if this guy wasn't on the hill, I would not have made that climb. Something about him, man, just got me fired up. Ended up bombing through the rest of the climb.
Excuse me, excuse me. Good job.
Go, go.
Keep going, you got it.
Woo, you can do it.
Nicely done, nice.
Mind you, this climb was pure pain, but ended up getting through it, crossed the finish line, absolutely gassed, so exhausted, but really happy with the time. I ended up doing it in 2 hours and 43. Considering I was riding a mountain bike for a gravel race, was super happy with this finish, and considering it was my first race, super happy, super excited. And this wraps up our recap for the first race of the Rozie Ride cycling season. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked the video, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe with notifications on so you guys can stay tuned for the rest of the cycling season. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your support in growing the sport, and I'll see you guys in the next video.